Hey you guys, it's Rachel here with Senza Tempo Cane Corso, wanting to talk to you guys about some of the things that we talked about previously about hips and stuff. I wanted to wait until I got Blondie's results back because it would really help to give you guys an accurate idea of what I'm talking about. But ultimately, it's something that I like to be honest about, but I'm also not trying to fearmonger. I don't want everyone to be scared that every puppy they're going to buy is going to have hip dysplasia. I think that it is important to know that when you are dealing with any large breed dog, especially a Mastiff, there's always the potential for hip dysplasia. There's not one single large breed dog that you can get into that doesn't have the risk, oh, poor baby girl, of hip dysplasia. So it's just part and parcel. It's what happens, okay? So, I mean, if you don't ever want to risk having a dog with hip dysplasia, then just don't get a Mastiff, because ultimately that's what they are prone to, Having said that, this breed is less prone to it than any of the other Mastiff breeds that I'm aware of. In fact, I was doing some research on it, and any of you can do this. If you go onto Facebook and you go onto the groups that state OFA or PennHip, things like that, you'll find people that have put in their results. And if you look up, in particular, there is a post about a St. Bernard, and somebody posted these St. Bernard hips, and they were really bad hips, but apparently, St. Bernard hips are so bad that on average, over 50% of them have non-passing hips for any other breed. But because of the fact that if you took all of those animals out of the breeding groups, there wouldn't be enough to sustain genetic stability. Like, you're not going to have enough dogs to maintain a population. So you can't just eliminate them all. So and a lot of those dogs are, fine. So just because she has a loose hip does not mean that she's going to break down. It does not mean that she's going to have hip dysplasia or that she even has hip dysplasia. It means that one of her hips is significantly looser than the other one. And that, to me, is not something I want to breed. There's plenty of people who would breed her. I choose not to because I want to have a higher standard. But that's my choice. That's not the way that everyone's going to be. Not everyone agrees. So every breeder has their own program, and they're going to breed according to that program. But, don't call your breeder and say, hey, how are you going to guarantee this dog doesn't have hip dysplasia? It's like calling a car dealership and saying, how are you going to guarantee that my engine never blows? They can't guarantee it. All they can do is offer you a health guarantee. Okay? That's it. That's all they can do. And that's what good breeders do. We offer a health guarantee. And if, in fact, your dog's hips go out on them and that dog breaks down and has debilitating hip dysplasia, a breeder will refund, or not refund, sorry. I don't know of any breeder actually that will refund, but they will replace the puppy. They'll replace it. And so, which is no different than a automaker would do. They would replace your engine. They're not going to pay you back everything you paid for the vehicle. They're going to repair it or replace it if they can't repair it. And that's what breeders do. That's the right thing to do. And it should be thought of like that. If you don't want breeders to act like puppy mills, then you can't expect us to act like commercial puppy mills, right? Like, only a puppy mill has enough dogs and enough money to be able to just reimburse you and pay you back and all this stuff or whatever. We're hobby breeders. You know what I mean? We don't have high volume puppy sales like that. Most of us have jobs, have families, have lives. We invest way too much into our dogs to have just tons of money just sitting around. And if you're any kind of breeder, you're always investing back into your program, whether it be with new stock, better health testing, or, you know, getting a kennel put up, whatever it is that you're doing, oftentimes breeders try to invest back into their program. So they don't have just a bunch of cash sitting around. So it's not a matter of greed. It's a matter of walking in another person's shoes. Try not to judge. Try to imagine what it must be like for us, and then try to make a judgment. Because if you just sit there and you blindly judge based off your own experience, hey, back over here now, this way, and you don't take into consideration, hey, velocity, you heard me, move it. So if you don't take other people into consideration, then it's just a bad idea. And that's what they call walking in another person. Before you judge, you know, try to imagine what that other person's going through. This way, let's go. Midnight, move it this way. So, you know, it is a worry, but it's not something that you need to be obsessed about. It's not something you need to be freaking out about. If you are really freaked out about a dog having hip dysplasia, don't get a big dog, okay? Because that's just the nature of the beast right now. So, hey, y'all quit. So anyway, so yeah, don't call and harass your breeders. I've had a couple breeder friends of mine, they were like, Rachel, why'd you make that video? I've got, you know, people calling me, trying to guarantee that this puppy isn't going to have hip dysplasia. And it's, for me, it's just kind of ridiculous, because how could you expect that? If you're using common sense, how could you expect a breeder to make that guarantee? We are not mind readers. We don't have x-ray vision. We can't see what's going on. And we're not responsible for all of the generations of breeding that happened before us. Most of us bought dogs that were already, you know, from other lines, and we're going to have, many of us are fixing the mistakes of our you know, predecessors, right? Like, there are people that were breeding these dogs that were unscrupulous, you know, people that, not even that, like, we only recently developed a way to test the looseness of a hip. Used to be you just did OFA. So it's not always on purpose. Sometimes just the science hasn't caught up yet, and now there are other ways and other methods that allow us to do things better. But ultimately, you know, we are all, if your breeder is doing everything they can to produce you a healthy puppy, if they've health tested their dogs, they've provided those results to you, and they've tried to make sure that their lines come from other health tested dogs and that they have good scores, then really that's all you can ask for. Hey, Midnight, gentle. Gentle? Shh. What did I say? And so, you know, don't expect a miracle is what I'm saying. Like, you can't put that kind of pressure on a breeder. You know, and you wouldn't expect it from a shelter either, right? You wouldn't go to a shelter and get mad at them if they, you know, rehomed a dysplastic dog to you. You know, there's just, at the very least, at least a breeder will replace the puppy. A shelter's going to tell you, oh, well, sorry, nothing we can do about it. So, but it's always a risk. It doesn't matter if you're having your own children. If you decide to have a child, you run the risk of producing a child that has some kind of genetic issue, and you're not to be at fault for that. You know, how are you supposed to know all the things that are in your generation of genetics, considering the fact that, you know, we've only recently started having genetic tests where we can test what may be in your blood, but there's no way of knowing, you know, like everything down the lines. You know, we're all related when you get back far enough. So, and so are dogs. All dogs are related when you get back far enough. Move, go. Get out of that. Quit digging in my lawn. So just, you know, try to be more of a critical thinker about it and less of a worrywart, if that makes sense. You know, like, it's not easy being a breeder. It's genuinely not. It's a lot of work with dealing with the dogs. On top of that, dealing with all of the backlash from people who just hate breeders. So it's, you know, as long as a breeder's doing everything they can to be a good breeder, then give them the benefit of the doubt and work with them and hope and try to give them the opportunity to do the right thing, right? Hey, hyena, shh, be gentle. So anyway, just a thought. You know, I'm not trying to, like I said, not trying to start a big fear-mongering thing. I am trying to be honest. I do believe that the public deserves to know these things, because I believe that you guys are smart enough to handle it. Most breeders would say, let it go. What they don't know won't hurt them. I say, let's educate, right? Let's educate and let's reform our expectations of breeding and genetics and all that kind of stuff, so that we have a better, fuller knowledge of how to produce healthy dogs. Hey, psst, get out of that cactus. Now, what is it with you guys eating cactus? Gross. Actually, I eat cactus. I eat it with my carne asada. So anyway, hope you guys are having a good day. I'm going to get ready and maybe go try and enjoy my day a little bit. So TGIF, y'all. Bye.